1. There are two creatures in this double feature, Flake and Crusher. You'll see why I picked these nicknames soon enough. A bit of background to start. For the first half of my adolescence, I was what could easily be considered a loser, a lanky shy kid with a perpetually dorky haircut, who was far too into things like Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars, a situation only made worse by a sudden divorce and a quick move to a new school district. I had only 2 other friends through elementary school, other dorks who knew to stick together. Once we got to junior high, we met Flake. An instant friendship started when we met him, spelling swear words with his food at lunch. He was a sweet, goofy theater kid, with even sweeter parents I considered a second mom and dad. The 4 of us were thick as thieves, and honestly, none of us were that weird at the time. Just unlucky enough to be the 4 poor kids at a school with weird districting lines, made of mostly wealthy families. The summer after 8th grade is when things started to change. I was blessed and had a hardcore glow-up, which paired with the high school being in a different school district, meant I had a fresh start at a social life. Even though I suddenly found myself moderately popular once high school started, I had been through too much with my childhood friends to abandon them, even if I got the occasional side-eye for hanging out with the weird kids, because they were my brothers. That being said, Flake made that stance beyond difficult with the new persona he adopted once we hit our teenage years. I don't know why he started acting like a complete goon, but I blame cringe early 2000s Newgrounds animations like Foamy the Squirrel and Happy Tree Friends. He started wearing all black every day, with tacky spiked armbands or sweatbands, adorned with pentagrams and anarchy symbols on his wrists. It got so dirty they changed colors and made the skin under them damp and 10 shades more pale. All his shirts were either Slipknot tees or those button-up shirts with skulls and flames. Basically, the worst of those Hot Topic catalogs. I could honestly deal with his awful fashion choices. Most of us had cringe fashion back in the MySpace days. But it was his over-the-top, fake, edgy personality that drove me up the wall. He would spend class with these awful fake psychotic scowls on his face, interrupting teachers by making some completely unrelated comment about how much he liked fires or knives or swords, sometimes following that up with some stupid crazy laugh that sounded just like a witch's cackle. Once a teacher that had a low tolerance for clowns rolled their eyes and very sarcastically said, "Okay, Flake, calm. I'm starting to get scared." To which Flake replied, "You should be," with a self-satisfied smirk. Our second year, some poor new teacher who didn't know better sent him to the guidance counselor out of concern, which Flake wore as a badge of honor, saying he freaked out a teacher so badly, she sent me to the crazy doctor. The absolute worst was before class, when everyone was talking and joking with each other, would yell, "Be quiet, I can't hear the voices in my head," as a sad bid for attention. Like all neckbeards, his hygiene was questionable, and when not closing for attention, he would spend class vigorously scratching thick flakes of dandruff onto his shoulder, blowing it out into the open air once he amassed a sizable pile. At assemblies, he would sit behind people he didn't like on the bleachers and lean over to sneakily shower them in his blizzard of dandruff. And any girl with even remotely reddish hair would be in his crosshairs. A few of them were too nice to tell him off, and he would stay glued to them, trying to play the long game of winning their attraction as a friend. He would physically hang off them in long, uncomfortable hugs, saying, "Best friend," in a voice not unlike Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. This made all their boyfriends uncomfortable, and over the years, I had to use my clout to convince more than one of them not to kick his ass because he was harmless and posed less than zero threat. By the end of year 2, sophomore year rolled around. I was hanging out with people from neighboring schools as well, and decided I'd try introducing some of them to Flake. His obnoxious persona was non-existent outside of school when there wasn't a crowd, and I thought maybe he could get some friends who didn't know him as an edgy tryhard with weaponized dandruff. Boy, was I wrong. As soon as they showed up, it was lights, camera, crazy. I tried keeping conversation non-controversial, so he didn't have an opportunity to be weird. But even talking about music, he steered the conversation towards Slipknot and how all the music about people being shit and being alone and full of anger spoke to him. The cherry on top was when he pulled out a bottle of prescription pills, showing off the black and yellow capsules before saying,
"Hold up, I gotta take my crazy pills and make sure I don't lose it and do something fucked up."
They were fucking acne pills. I knew because I was prescribed the exact same ones. His cocky smirk instantly vanished, and he stuttered out some excuse about how he must have gotten the bottles mixed up. I can't remember the rest of the hangout, I was too mortified, but I know he never saw those people again. The summer between year 2 and 3, all my questions about what happened to Flake were suddenly answered. When Flake's friend, who was normally only in town for the summer, that I had never met, moved here full time. This dude, Crusher, was the Neckbeard. Top-tier cloud of stench, multiple chins, fedora, and the most edgy attitude paired with an underserved, "I am better than everyone else" level of confidence, with a compulsive liar garnish. It was clear that, for whatever reason, Flake idolized this fucking loser. Maybe it was because he was naive, and believed Crusher whenever he lied about knowing the members of any given metal band, and having 3 days every weekend, think Dermot from Venture Brothers, only morbidly obese. He was the type who would never admit he was full of shit. One time we played Smash Bros. Melee, after he claimed to be a national champion, and a string of matches went like this. "Okay, well, you only won because I went easy on you and didn't play my character." Next match he loses as his main. "Well, you only won because you played a cheap character." Marth, I guess. Play another match and let him literally pick my character. He picks Peach. And I still win. Pfft, whatever. I don't have time to sit around playing Smash non-stop. It's no fun playing with tryhards. Whenever I would ask him to prove he had all these music industry contacts or girlfriends, he'd say I was too untrustworthy to keep it on the down low. And whenever I'd call him on his bullshit attitude, he'd just say I couldn't take a joke and were killing the vibe. He called women females or bitches, depending on how he felt that day, and the only joy I ever got out of hanging out with him were the many times he tried talking tough to the wrong person and turned into a whimpering puddle of spineless goo when they got in his face. The best being when he waddled off full-on crying after someone cold-cocked him in the jaw for commenting on their girlfriend's breasts. The only reason I never even backhanded him myself was that Flake always asked me to just be cool and put up with him as a favor. And despite how annoying and weird Flake was, he was still my friend, so I honored that. I couldn't find a way to organically work it into the story, but the nickname Crusher came from his habit of causing whatever he sat on to break with his girth. Multiple friends lost lawn chairs to his fat ass, and one super unfortunate friend was never able to open the trunk of his car again after Crusher sat on it during a hangout, where Flake dragged him along. Thankfully, by the end of the first semester, the school found out Crusher's mom had lied about his address, and he was shipped off to another school district to terrorize more people, and I never saw him again. So there you have it, how I met the Omega Neckbeard and how he turned my childhood friend into a near-insufferable edgelord. If Flake was Darth Vader, then Crusher was Emperor Palpatine. I lost touch with Flake after high school, but according to his social media, it looks like he finally got rid of Crusher, cleaned up his life, and even has a wife and kid now. 2. Some backstory. I knew this guy in high school and elementary school, since my mom dated his older brother, but that was before he became a neckbeard. He wore fedoras to school and was a brawny and miladied and like a full-on neckbeard, just without the beard. Luckily, I didn't interact with him much outside of the time he tried to convince me that brawnies were being discriminated against and couldn't keep jobs because they were fired for being brawnies. And that time he asked me out, on my first day of school, after being away from that school district for 2 years. And the thing was, back then, when he knew me, I was like halfway to a legbeard, namely in the fact that I was anime-obsessed and pretty smelly because I couldn't bring myself to shower or eat right, so I was pretty overweight. Close to obese if I'm being completely honest. However, turned out I had major anxiety and depression, and once I got myself help, I turned my life around and am slowly becoming a fully functioning member of society. Anyway, just keep in mind that the shy, nerdy, and chunky girl is who he knew and remembered me as when we happened to meet each other again. I've been working at the local Dollar General. It's my first real job, and I got it once I got on my meds. Thank God they had an opening, because it's the only place I can walk to for work. Still working on the license thing, but I'm working on it. And because my town is basically in the middle of nowhere, it's frequented by the locals. And Neckbeard, as it turns out, is still one of the locals. Anyway, he comes in because I was working on totes. I didn't see him until I got back to the register and he was standing there. He was surprised to see me there, which is understandable because I haven't shown my face since I had graduated. It starts off okay with us catching up. I ask how his brother is and all, and he tells me how good I look, most likely in reference that I finally learned how to take care of my curls and the weight I've lost since he last saw me. And it's fine. It's okay, even if I'm a little uncomfortable, because he's always made me a little uncomfortable. I finish checking him out and wish him a good day, only for him to pause and tell me he's actually going to look around a bit more. I wish him luck and go back to working on totes, which I find a box of Pokemon cards. We usually run out of these like the day we get them, so I got to stock them right away, and I kneel down since the bag is somewhat close to the floor. Next thing I know, I feel a sweaty body mass behind me, almost pressed against my back completely, reaching for the cards. I freak out because A, I'm still not used to physical contact, and B, even if I was at work, and feeling someone press themselves up against you is sincerely freak-out worthy. I move out of the way and scramble up, and of course it's a Neckbeard. He laughs and tells me he's sorry, he just saw me putting up the cards and got excited, and that I was just so small now and short as ever, 5 foot, that he hadn't seen me there. I awkwardly tell him to be more careful, and he lets me know he's done, and he's going to check out again. I tell him okay, and I'll be up in just a second. However, when I get up there, he's behind the counter, which is bad on its own, because everyone knows no customers are supposed to be back there. But he was drinking out of my fountain drink that I had brought to work. I freaked out and asked him what the heck he thought he was doing. He laughed again and told me that we had almost been family once, that it was no big deal and he was thirsty. I told him in no way was that appropriate, and was this close to having a panic attack until my coworker happened to pass by and saw a customer behind the counter and me freaking out. She made him leave the Pokemon cards there and leave the store, and protesting the whole way that we were friends and it was no big deal. Meanwhile, I was still freaked out. My coworker let me go sit in the break room to calm down and told me if he comes back, just to let someone know, and they'll cover for me. Luckily, I haven't seen him again yet, but he did try to add me as a friend on Facebook, which I've ignored, so that he doesn't try to confront me about why I rejected his request. 3. Hi everyone. I have a few stories about a neckbeard that was a big problem in my life. He was my wife's one friend, and I had to shut down that friendship. This all happens in South Africa. We start at the beginning before I met my wife. She was 15 years old and her brother-in-law, also a neckbeard, but that's another story for another time. Her sister had gotten married the year previous, and they all went out to celebrate. He was invited with them. We'll call him Brutebeard. Now just to explain how he looks, and his age and everything. He's about 5'10", weighs around 160 kilograms, smells a lot like Brute spray, hence the name. I don't think he has ever showered. He does not have a fedora, but does have the gloves, trench coat, ironic, I have a trench coat as well, and the beard. He is a massive gamer and has a very, very big superiority attitude, and is high off his own ego. He's very into anime and into Warhammer, which was kinda awesome till he took it too far. He is 36 years of age, and still thinks I'm a massive asshole. He thinks women should only be housewives and do as the man of the house says. Now a quick summary of my wife. She's 5'1", she's 23 years old, very beautiful, curvy, and a gamer as well. Her golden heart is not made for this world. Still no idea how lucky I am. Beautiful green eyes and fire-red hair. She has saved me from myself and has, still does, shown me what love truly is. I do not know where I would have been if it were not for her. Most likely drank myself to death. Back to the story. He was, and still is, very interested in my wife in very bad ways, and the night the whole family went out to celebrate, he made my wife drink sake and sweet white wine to be able to get her more loose and try to get her into bed. I can confirm this because my neckbeard of a brother-in-law let this slip when he was drunk. She did not know of his plan, and she got drunk, a very lightweight drinker. Her father, this man is a saint and a devil at the same time, best father-in-law ever, made her stop, and they were about to leave, and he wanted to go with them. He insisted and pushed for it, but my father-in-law told him straight no. He is not their guest, thus he will not go to their home. The next day my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, which I will now refer to as beard-in-law, and the neckbeard friend all came over to the father-in-law's house for supper that night. The neckbeard friend brought liquor with Amarula, and wanted to drink again. My wife told him she does not want to, and he insisted, stating that she has to listen up a bit, otherwise she has no fun. She can't say no easily, and I had to show her how to say no. So she drank, and drank, and drank, and got drunk again. She went to bed that night, and thankfully in her drunken state she was smart enough to lock her door. That night he tried to sneak into her room, but it was locked. Again, I can confirm this because of beard-in-law. He went home the next day, at least he had not visited again for 3 weeks. So a few weeks pass, and my wife turns 16. The weekend after her birthday, the beard-in-law had a LAN party with Brutbeard, 2 German friends of my wife, and my wife as well. That was the time I became friends with my wife, and thus she asked me to come play games with. I first met her father and mother because they did not know me from any side, so that is fine. We talked, and they first were a bit skeptical, but soon started to enjoy my company. I greeted everyone at the LAN party, introduced myself to everyone, and there is the man, the beard, in all his glory, Brutbeard. Yeah, there was no glory, only a look that made me want to shower in disinfectant. The times we had talked felt like a hamster in my brain was bashing his head against my skull, out of frustration to understand what he's going on about. The first things he said were, "So, you from location A?" "Yes, have you been out there?" Few people actually know the place. "I heard it was a crap hole full of idiots and untrustworthy people." "No, you heard wrong. It's best known for the battles that took place in the Anglo Wars and—" "No, you are wrong. The best known place where the Anglo War took place was at Commando Peak." "I know it's most known as far as I know, yes." "Would you know your own land's history then?" My brain actually started to filter out his voice after he tried to insult me again. Me and wife, back then friend, went out that day, and I asked her who he is, and she explained to me that he keeps trying to show off to her, that he is an alpha male, and blah 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 blah. Her actual response. She told me that he is just a friend of her beard-in-law. Most of that weekend he tries to impress her by insulting me and trying to get a reaction out of me. Thanks, Dad, for teaching me to think with my brain and not to think on my feelings. When that did not work, he started to get more agitated and aggressive in the games. We were playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and he kept only targeting me. Everyone started to notice and saw I was smiling the whole time. My friend, now wife that time, came to me and asked me what I was smiling about. And I told her just keep an eye on me. I had planted claymore mines everywhere, and he kept dying to them. It worked like a charm. Eventually he got so angry that he smashed his keyboard and just sat and sulked. The rest of the weekend went, and he left me alone, so far at least. I think he might have noticed, or he might have been thinking he has some competition on his hands. Some time has passed since Brutbeard has been in the same house as my wife. Nearly 3 months had passed, and I had grown some balls and asked my wife out, and we had become a couple. Still the best choice I have ever made in my life. The month this part had happened was in December. My wife came to meet my family for the first time. While we were driving to our farm, Brutbeard messaged her. The convo was followed. "Hi, can you send me your location when you arrive at Dundee's house?" My friends call me Crocodile Dundee, probably because I have wrestled crocs before. Yay, South Africa. My wife responds, okay, why? Just to make sure if you go missing, where we can start searching for you. Wait, what? Don't be stupid, he won't hurt me. He seems like he would. I can't even lift my hand to spank my own daughter. No, he isn't like that. Fine, whatever. Just don't come running to me when he does. He won't fucking hurt me. Are you okay? Yeah, just Brutbeard pissing me off. When we arrive, you won't have to worry about him. There's a bad signal, so you can use my phone to call your parents. She thanks me. The weekend went wonderful, and my parents loved her. We went on vacation with the beard-in-law and sister-in-law the next week. Brutbeard did everything to try and come along, but the resort was booked full. When we came back, that's when all hell broke loose. Another LAN after the vacation, and Brutbeard was there. As everyone was setting up, I went out for a quick smoke along with my wife. We were chatting and having a wonderful time. Then came the smell, the tremble, and the voice. It was Brutbeard. He came over and told me the following. You know she won't stay long with you, says Hugh. Brutbeard, go away, says my wife. You will see, little bitches like you always do. What did you fucking call her? He realizes I'm about to go apeshit on him. Nothing. Bye. Just ignore him, he always tries to get in a relationship with me. I don't like him. I don't know why Beard-in-law likes him, but we're sitting with a problem now. Now, before we go on, a bit of extra background story. I was in the military when I met my wife, and went into the reserves, was part of our special forces, and had been trying to get out. Brutbeard found out I was in the military when he overheard a convo between my wife and myself and her father, who was military as well, and he decided on just this, that I would hurt her and abuse her. Again, I can't even spank my own daughter because I'm scared to hurt her. The next time he came to visit will be 6 months later. I visited her nearly every weekend except the one coming up. I was visiting one of my brothers, a best friend, but I see him as my brother, and I was standing outside having a smoke. That's when I get a call from my wife. She and her sister have been drinking and have been having a good time, which made me happy, because if she is happy, I'm happy. Hey love, been missing you. I love you, drinking a bit. Yes, me and sis are drinking a bit. Beard-in-law and Brutbeard are not. They seem to be focused on their games, but that's okay. Is Brutbeard there? Yeah, but sis told him to leave me alone. Her sister did not, even though she said she did. Okay, good. Just be careful and drink water when you're finished. See you tomorrow. Yes? Hey, see you tomorrow, love. I love you. She always says it in an innocent way. It makes me go crazy. Okay, I love you too. Bye. She ended the call and I went back to drinking with my brother. 1 hour later, she called again. And this is the time she was in a panic. They groped me. What? Who? Brutbeard and Beard-in-law. Lock yourself in your room. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Small note, if you drive, the speed limit takes you around 1 hour and 15 to get there. Okay, please just don't hurt them. Her golden heart. Oh, I'll try not to. No promises. I say to my brother, get in the car, now. Oh, fuck, you got that look? Yes. We get there and I walked in and got my wife. Still at the time girlfriend, of course. Brutbeard had already left. Beard-in-law took him home. I talked with her to calm her down, and we got some water. Brother was standing outside as a lookout, and when he saw Beard-in-law, he came to tell me. Beard-in-law, come here. Hello. You're going to get in my car, and we're going to go to the police. I'm opening a case of sexual assault against you and Brutbeard. If you refuse, I will personally break every bone in your legs, drag you to the police, and kill Brutbeard myself. The fuck you going on about? We did nothing wrong. Sister-in-law says she saw nothing. She saw everything. You have 10 seconds. Wife is begging me not to. What? Please just drop it. Why? Because I don't want to lose you. She thought she would lose me if I followed through with the beatdown I wanted to give them. So I turn to Beard-in-law and say, If I ever see Broodbeard close to her again, you and him will have a very bad fucking day. Beard-in-law only smiled. From that day on, I knew I had a mission. Get rid of Broodbeard by any legal means. The next time when I see Broodbeard would be the one time I'm glad I did lose my temper. My wife never told her parents. She felt like she did something wrong, and I kept telling her that she did nothing wrong. Sometime later, I had gotten work nearly 400 kilometers away from where my wife stayed. And a small, very important detail. She was pregnant at that time. She was 7 months pregnant when I got the work. Beard-in-law and sister-in-law had moved out of the house. They lived in the apartment connected to the house. And my wife moved into the small apartment. But this is all just for information. So this part of the story takes place nearly 3 years after the last one, so it has been a very long time. My wife has not been in contact with Broodbeard in that time at least, due to her sister-in-law and beard-in-law moving out. Where we start with this story is when I was on leave and visited for December. By that time, she was 9 months pregnant, and became what I still call her just to get her to blush and smile, my wee little penguin. She waddled when she was 9 months pregnant. The reason why I type this will become clear in this story. Broodbeard knew she was pregnant and hated it, which she loved, because he would leave her alone when I was around due to me looking at him with very, very murderous eyes. On the day I went on leave was the day that I had asked her to marry me. The tears of joy to this day makes us both smile. Now after the wonderful proposal, sister-in-law invited us to stay the weekend to celebrate. Sister-in-law did not tell us that Broodbeard would be there. She did regret that very quickly. When we got there, sister-in-law, beard-in-law, and Broodbeard were in the kitchen. The anger I felt was intense. My wife, soon-to-be wife, and sister-in-law both convinced me not to bust Broodbeard's brain in that day, as much as I wanted to, so I let it be for the moment. We celebrated and took loads of photos, to my dismay. I don't like photos, but I do not regret it one bit now. We went swimming, and I went to get a drink. Broodbeard thought this would be the perfect time to try to sway my wife to his side the minute I was gone. Convo as followed. You know you're going to regret it. What now? He is going to leave you when your daughter is born. Broodbeard, for the last time, my relationship with Dundee has nothing to do with you. And if he by some stupid chance does leave, you're the last person I would ever be interested in. I'd rather die than be with you. So please just leave us alone. I hear the commotion. What's going on? Nothing to do with you. Broodbeard, if it has to do with her who I will remind you is now my fiancée, then it has to do with me. So you said yes? I did say yes. Will he hurt you? Broodbeard, the only one being in danger here to get hurt is you. I say to my sister-in-law we're leaving.
Oh, come on, he didn't mean it.
Shut it. I'm sick and fucking tired of keeping the peace. Broodbeard, if you come close to her ever again, I will fucking end you. Oh yeah? Just you wait. Wait for what? The earthquake you'll make running to me? Like hell you will. My wife encourages us to leave. We got all our stuff, and she was dressing while I was packing. Broodbeard then tried to get into the room where she was dressing. I caught him in time, at least. Broodbeard, get out now, you have 3 seconds. He actually thought he could take me on. That was a big mistake. He tried to push me against the wall while screaming that I won't take her away from him. 1 punch against the nose was enough to take the land well to the ground. We ended up calling her father to let him know what's been happening, and we went home. The next day, sister-in-law was there with beard-in-law screaming at me.
Dundee, you broke his nose.
Be glad I didn't choke him to death. My father-in-law says, Beard-in-law, if Broodbeard as so much as comes 100 meters to this house, or to my daughter, I will not try to stop Dundee again. Next time Broodbeard is a dead man. Sorry, Dad, I didn't know he would try that. Bullshit, with my compliments. Sister-in-law says he wasn't talking to me. Her father tells her to shut up, that she's already in very thin ice, and not to make it worse.
Yes, Dad.
Dundee, what you did was good. Try not to beat him too badly next time. I only socked him once. Both beard-in-law and sister-in-law left. They were very upset. They are still friends with Brookbeard. And now begins the final story of Brookbeard. Final encounter with Brookbeard, Fire Lady, my wife, and myself, Dundee. We begin this wonderful tale when my daughter was nearly 2 years old. My little gremlin has been growing up too quickly for herself. Beautiful blue eyes and auburn hair. She made my world bigger and better. Just some quick info. All of the previous encounters, including this one, are translated from my home language Afrikaans to English. We were visiting sister-in-law for her birthday. The whole family was there. It was during level 3 lockdown where social gatherings were permitted. So father-in-law, mother-in-law, Fire Lady, myself, and my little gremlin went to the birthday party. Sister-in-law again failed to mention that Brookbeard would be there. When we got there, I saw Brookbeard immediately, and grabbed Fire Lady and father-in-law to tell them. Mother-in-law, bless her soul, asked me not to make a scene, the irony, and try to keep calm. I suffer from a very, very short fuse, except when it comes to Fire Lady and Gremlin. I told mother-in-law that I make no promises, and the second he steps out of line, I will personally bury him alive. Father-in-law asked me to try to not make a scene if possible. If not, then so be it. Fire Lady asked me to stick to her like white on rice, so I did. Unfortunately, Gremlin had changed that plan. But I told Fire Lady to rather keep an eye on her so that I can keep an eye on both of them and on Brookbeard. Helps that sister-in-law and beard-in-law's younger brother's friend heard the story he kept telling everyone. The story that I have stolen Fire Lady away from him. That I am an abuser. And I put him in the hospital. I wish I had. Note, this friend that we will call Idiot in Training, or IT. It had this knight in shining armor attitude and wanted to save Fire Lady from me. Now this boy is nearly 12 years younger than me. And it seems he thinks because he is younger he is much better in fighting than me. I can actually count on one hand how many people can beat me in hand-to-hand combat, my daughter being one of them because which father won't admit defeat when their kids fight with them. Anyhow, you know when a person shoves you with their shoulder, like trying to pick a fight? He did that. I only looked at him and asked him, "Is there a problem?"
No problem at all.
Then please watch where you're walking. You, as I'm accepting it accidentally, bumped into me.
Oh, that was not an accident. I heard all about you from Brookbeard.
Oh great, what is he blubbering about now? That you stole his girlfriend? Look, kid, I don't give a flying fuck what he says. Don't believe in everything you hear, and next time, if you want to fight someone, make sure they aren't armed to the teeth and could do you much more harm. He said you would say that. He also said you put him in the hospital. So he started to rant on and make a scene, and me, being me, tried to keep my cool. Don't want people to think I'm a child beater. Halfway with his rant, I stood up just to walk away, and he grabbed my shoulder. Big no. I don't like to be touched by strangers that piss me off. Fire Lady, father-in-law, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and beard-in-law all saw what was about to happen. None of them were fast enough. I did not punch him. Only grabbed his hand and squeezed. He went down very quickly. Brookbeard, at that moment, thought it would be a good idea to try and talk to Fire Lady. But just as he walked close to her, I was on him like flies on a dead man. He said hi to her, and I was in front of him, looked him dead in the eyes and told him this: I could kill you right here and now, and no one would bat an eye. You will die very slowly, painfully, and I promise you this, I will not go to jail. I will not even walk into a police station, no one will help you. And the last thing you will see is me smiling. Your family will not know what happened to you, and no one will be looking for you. This is your one and only chance to turn around and leave. I don't want to see your shadow darkening anything close to my family ever again. Please note that I say things when I am angry, and 50% of the time I mean it, the other 50% of the time it's bullshit. This time I did mean it. I just wanted to say sorry to Fire Lady. I don't give a flipping hell. Turn around now. Could not swear because Gremlin was within earshot. Brookbeard did the smart thing and turned around and went back to the party. Fire Lady, get Gremlin in the car. I'll get your parents, we're leaving. And she did just that. She had a very big smile on her face. I went and got the in-laws and told sister-in-law and beard-in-law that as long as Brutbeard is here, we will not be visiting. He will never set foot on our property again, and they will not see Gremlin here again. Sister-in-law actually tried to tell me I cannot do that, and father-in-law looked at her and told her that he stands behind my decision about Brutbeard. But it's my and Fire Lady's choice about Gremlin, and no one else is allowed to make that choice. We haven't seen or heard anything from Brutbeard since that night, nearly 2 years later. Thus, this is the end of the Brutbeard saga. Till next time, my wee little friends, stay safe and remember, Neckbeard repellent is anything that is to do with soap. 4. So my friend Kay and I have basically been joined at the hip since the first time we met in high school. We crawl through the trenches of our cringe teen years, the anime club phase, the K-pop phase, the cosplay on regular days of schools phase. We battled through shoulder to shoulder, sisters in arms. We were others' dates. She bought my ticket and forced me to go for prom, and sat next to each other during graduation. We even had a fun joke where we told people we were sisters. The joke being, I'm a heavyset black girl and she's a skinny white redhead. This is actually a very pertinent part of the story, since our physical appearance differences have been the catalyst for most of our hilarious and sometimes chaotic experiences with guys. You see, Kay has always been a cute girl, and didn't see the bad in people. Well, she never experienced the bad in people. Because of looks, guys were a lot nicer to her. No jealousy though, I mean, who wants to be mean to a hot redhead, right? I, however, saw right past it. I would see how they really acted before they got to her. I already knew which guys were genuinely nice and which dudes were playing the part to get with her. Now, this is where the story begins. Kay and I live near a large university. The whole city is basically a college town. Even the street signs were the school colors. The university has an anime convention on campus. It was our fun little date we did. We'd gotten a lot better since the cringe high school years, but we were still huge anime geeks, and cosplay whenever we can. This is where we met Psychbeard. Kay and I were cosplaying as Super Sonico and Super Pochako. We were sitting down, showing each other memes when I felt a presence. Well, I smelled a presence. I looked up from my phone and see a Suicide Silence tee right behind. Wearing the tee was a tall big guy with a greasy curly fro, similar to how Jack Harlow's hair is, but nowhere near clean or groomed, and of course a neckbeard. He was staring hard at Kay, who was still laughing on her phone, so I spoke up, "Hey." Still not looking at me, he spoke, more like yelled, talked to Kay specifically. "Are you having fun so far, Sonico?" She silently jumps from the volume. He was really loud. Yeah, me and my friend are just taking a break." I waved at him, but immediately put my hand down because I can tell he's not paying attention to me at all. Still. "Yeah, that's great. I'm here by myself. My friend helps organize the con, so he's busy." She nodded. I keep my eyes on her, waiting for the signal to intervene. He keeps going. "So did you actually watch the anime, or do you just know her from the company she's a rep of?" "My friend is actually the one who showed me the anime. It was her idea, and I agreed to cosplay." She points at me. This is the first time he looks at me, and his googly eyes immediately turn to ones of discomfort. Oh great. Another asshole who's going to accuse me of being a cockblock because they can't take a hint. Well, that's cool. You'd cosplay for a friend. My friends would never cosplay the anime I like." This is only the first part of the conversation I remembered. I guess he started to loosen up. And Kay did too, because they were talking more and less awkwardly. I took my place as a friend, look at the phone, and trying not to interfere. I guess he was in her eyes a pretty cool guy. Besides the smell and appearance, he later told us, her not me, that he's a psych major at the school, and he was going to the bigger con a few cities over in a few months. That really started to kick it off, and eventually, much to my dismay, they exchanged social medias. I know I sound like someone jealous who's upset I'm not getting attention. But trust me, I could smell the nice guy as well as the BO all over him, but I stayed quiet. They would hang out every once in a while on campus. We would see him in the food court, walking to classes, and sometime we would hang out in the downtown area, specifically the card shop, the arcade, and the comic book store a few blocks from the campus. While hanging out with us, I made him groom himself. If we met him at his dorm and he smelled, I would make him go back up and shower. As a big girl myself, I know it takes a lot more to smell good. More skin and folds, and I managed to do it so he could too. We would get him to go to the laundromat with us. Well, Kay would invite him and he'd rush with his clothes. That was the key. She had to be there. He'd eventually started to look more presentable. He still acted like a neckbeard, but his appearance got a lot better. My suspicion that she might be falling for him was confirmed about 4 months in. When I mean falling for him, I mean ignoring the red flags and inappropriate talking points. Like I said earlier, he's a psych major, so he would do this thing where he would psychoanalyze Kay all of the time. He would be correct, and she would be amazed at his eye to detail. She would tell me how she never felt like guys actually paid attention to her. Like her mind, and only wanted sex. So it was refreshing to have a guy see through her, her heart, yada yada yada. I never wanted to make her feel invalidated, but I wanted to tell her so bad he's not paying attention. He's just using his psych knowledge to make assumptions and manipulate her. The few times he actually talked to me, he tried to do that to me, but I would shut it down immediately. But that manipulative pile of Cheeto dust would always have the upper hand. He was the kind of guy who believed that if you showed any emotion in a debate, you lost and were stupid. So he would try to diagnose me with low self-esteem or some other shit. I'd tell him to fuck off, and he would immediately go, "Oh, I'm sorry my white man psychology isn't relatable to you, but it's the facts," or some weirdly racially charged smart guy rebuttal, causing me to snap, making me the bad guy. I was a jealous social justice warrior. A lot of reactionary abuse. He would say things to piss me off, and when I would snap, turn to Kay, and make it seem like I was some unhinged toxic bitch. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was. I thought I was just being a bitch, that I was jealous of the attention of her. What if I was those girls, the duff, the fat ugly friend hot girls hang out with to feel better and as bodyguards? And maybe I was being hostile and an SJW. I'm a big black girl in suburban Michigan. I was very big on social justice. I participate in a lot of the black student associations and social justice orgs in Michigan. Maybe the years of shitty experiences fucked me up. What if my friendship with Kay was going to end because I've become such a bitter, hateful SJW with a vendetta? I lost a lot of high school friends because of this anyway. Well, I didn't want Kay and I to separate because of my need to pick fights and defeat the racist, sexist, misogynistic pigs. So I kinda just laughed off a lot of his shitty behavior, forcing myself to believe it was no serious harm done. I felt like I was crazy. Fast forward to the great event, the day he showed his true colors. It was the weekend of the big con, Kay, me, and a friend I'll call T, and Psychbeard. Of course, Kay allowed him to room with us. They were getting closer, and they were even going to share a bed since T didn't know him. Friday night, before we're getting ready for the rave, Psychbeard was somewhere, didn't really care, and the girls and I were in the hotel room. We start drinking, and since we had a balcony room, smoking, blasting music, we were trying to get into the mode. Hot girl shit before Megan came to the scene. Kay came into the bathroom with me while I was putting makeup on. "OP, I think I'm gonna do it." "Do what?" "Ask Psychbeard out." I put my makeup brush down inside. "Girl, I love you, but this ain't it." Her eyes lowered, signaling her sadness. "I know you don't like him, but he's a great guy. And look how much we've changed him. He looks great and he's so sweet." That made me curse myself, vowing to never give stinky men grooming tips again, lest it be used against me in the future. Kay, he's a dick. He's overbearing, loud, a low-key racist. But I didn't want to sound like I'm pulling the race card. It felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I could not tell you how much this situation was scaring me. My biggest fear is happening, and I'm too intoxicated to actually do something about it. "Oh, P, he's not like that. You know I would never do that to you." She was also kinda tipsy, so she wasn't in the best headspace for this conversation. I'm trying to get out of this conversation to the best of my ability, so I just told her I need to focus on my makeup and we'll talk about it later. As we're leaving the room, who else would be there but Psychbeard? Well, hello, my ladies. His grin on K and T. He pushed past me, since I was the one who opened the door. You two look radiant, as usual. He quickly looks at me. Don't you think you're a little too big for a crop top, OP? This is where he fucked up. I was about 3 drinks, have a high tolerance of alcohol, and a few blunt rotations in. The argument I was trying to save K from was coming out tonight on him. I walked up to him sitting on the bed. I tell T and K just to meet in the line and I will find them, and give me my phone. When they leave, I start pacing, not knowing how to start. I know him. He's gonna gaslight me, strawman my arguments, and make me look loud and crazy, but I don't care. All the months I've dealt with this BS is coming to an end tonight. With phone in hand, knuckles clenched, I start my tirade. The fuck is your problem? What do you mean? You know what I mean, Psychbeard. No, I don't, OP. Maybe lay off the Hennessy. Hennessy is stereotypically drank by black people. That right there, all the black and fat shit. What is your problem? I'm just pointing out the truth, OP. You're fat and you're black. What do you want me to do, lie? Tell you you're just as hot as your friends? I'm not doing that. Kiss your ass to get access to K? Are you a fucking bodyguard or something? And then he said he wasn't going to pretend to like some fat... Well, you can guess what he said. So I can date its friend. Yes, he referred to me as it. He was in my face at this point. I was trying hard not to hit him. I called him a fat, ugly incel and that I was going to tell Kay what he said. And if she didn't believe me, well, then they can die happily together in hell. I walked to the door, opening it to see T and K sitting in the archway of our door. They never left for the line. They've been here the whole time. Kay immediately went into the room and started yelling at him, telling him he can't stay in the room this weekend. The 3 of us didn't feel comfortable with him in the room, and that we will give him the money back. And he needed to find somewhere else to go. He asked where he was going to go, and she told him he can go fuck himself. Kay started throwing his shit out and told us to call her friends. That was call security. Kay explained the situation and said that we didn't want him here anymore. Her friend called a few other people and grabbed his stuff, escorting him to his car. T hugged me, slurring about how she couldn't believe he called me an it. Kay started crying, being the lightweight she was. The booze and weed hit while in the hallway. So she's incoherently sobbing about how sorry she was. They basically tackled me. We didn't end up going to the rave that night. We enjoyed the rest of our con together. We saw Psychbeard a few times, but that was it. We gave him his money back. He kept trying to talk to Kay for a while after, but she stood her ground and told him to fuck off every time. There were a few times he would bother me on social media, calling me a cockblock, saying I ruined his relationship, and that I was a duff, designated ugly fat friend. And he hopes that I get ran over at the next protest I was at. And since he didn't have to pretend to be PC to fuck my friend, you can best believe that dick cheese-encrusted MAGA meme just spewed racial and homophobic slurs. Which is fucking insane because Kay was an open and proud bisexual. I completely blocked him on all social media. I saw him again last year. Kay and I go to a counter-protest that was trying to get the local sector of Proud Boys out of the city during Election Day. And guess who we saw there? Yep, Psychbeard. Red MAGA hat, American flag, hugged up with some skinny redhead. She looked like Kay if Kay injected meth into her eyeballs. I'm so glad we dodged that fucking bullet. Hopefully he's not in practice with psychology. As for me and Kay, we're still at the hip. We're planning on moving in together next year, after my lease at my current place is up. We have a ton of concerts and trips planned, including one to see their new boyfriend. They're dating a great guy. I'm casually dating, but more focused on my second degree. 5. So back in high school, I had a former friend who was a manipulative little shit we called Bird Boy. Bird Boy was a 5'1" sophomore, 18, and would do short sprints looking like a typical songbird jumping about. He also wore blues and reds similar to birds. Our genuine nice guy we will call Jay. Jay is a very well-respected guy. He only attended our school to go to shop class and homeschooled the rest of the time. His girlfriend C was a student there. She's your typical progressive-minded, not political party, church girl kind of person. Jay and C had a thing for each other, kinda meant-to-be relationship. Bird Boy, on the other hand, was just out for anything with 2 legs and a vagina and flat stomach, and poor C was his victim. Bird Boy asked C if she was single. She has feelings for Jay, and thought Bird Boy was going to embarrass her. She said maybe he took it as it's for him. So he grabbed C a gift he intended for another girl, as she found out. He then wrote her a letter with phrases like cat's meow and an earth angle instead of angel. She and Jay laughed at the letter, as Jay had asked her out when Bird Boy was gathering supplies. She handed Bird Boy the things back and told him to leave her alone. Bird Boy decided that is code for emotional trauma. Well, you guessed it, folks. He claimed he has cancer. He hid the truth because doctors claimed a broken heart can exacerbate symptoms leading to an early death. Now I love C. She's a smart young woman. But she got guilted by Bird Boy thinking he was gonna die. Jay appears, asks C what's up. She told him what Bird Boy said. Jay smells bullshit. And he asked me since I was Bird Boy's friend, as I hung around Bird Boy, not because I viewed him as a friend, but was afraid to do something dangerous. Told him Bird Boy's full of it, and to talk to his previous attempted love interest. Kay confirmed that he claimed cancer so many times just so she would be his girlfriend. Jay, who lost a close friend our age to cancer, found Bird Boy, told him to stop lying. Bird Boy goes on a rant at Jay that C isn't his concern, and he should just back off because C was his woman. Big fucking mistake. Jay, who I have never seen raise his voice or get mad, picks Bird Boy into the air by his shirt. He's flipping out, saying he's sorry. Jay has mercy, and he lowers Bird Boy, and he runs away to tell the staff that he was assaulted by Jay. So remember I mentioned that Jay is a good dude? Well, his reputation saved him because staff knew Jay wouldn't harm a fellow student, but they knew Bird Boy had prior complaints against him for harassment. I saw him later picking up pieces of the gift he got C as he tried to give it to Kay. Kay violently smashed it and referred to him as a future career sex offender and pedophile. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Neckbeards in the Wild, episode 65. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do like and subscribe. And if you're going to take a trip into space on the first rocket going to Mars or wherever, who would you like to take with you? You can only take 5 people, living or dead. There we go. That's nicer than the last version of that I had. Anyway. Right, what's my name? What am I doing here? I've been recording for a long time. I've been recording for almost 7.5 hours. Okay, right, and we'll be recording for a little bit longer yet anyway. So I'm going to wrap things up here for now, and rest for 5 minutes, and then get back to it. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.